bill to the House.
Erica Stanford, 5-minute speech. We're sort of doing a slightly different order.
More flexible.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I'm pleased to take a call on the Accident Compensation Amendment Bill at second reading. The bill obviously makes some technical changes to the Primary Act to ensure it's up to date and fit for purpose, a bit of a tune-up if you like. It's been pointed out across the House during this debate and at different readings that our ACC scheme is the envy of the world. So of course the National Party is supporting these very sensible and straightforward changes to the Act. I wasn't a member of the Select Committee that considered the bill, but I've read the Select Committee report which came back to the House, and here Parmjeet Parmar did a great job at chairing that committee and taking us through the process. The Select Committee made a minor change on the commencement date, the timing of the bill, to ensure that the changes to the bill the timing is aligned with the funding allocation for Budget 2018. I just want to focus on the one thing that I think is of particular concern to New Zealanders, and especially people in my electorate that I have spoken to, and that is the anomaly under the existing legislation whereby a person who is at or above the age of superannuation who's eligible for both super and ACC payments have to choose between those two payments in the second year of their injury. And in most cases they forego their superannuation and collect just the ACC. And they're foregoing the superannuation payment that they should be entitled to. So currently, if you're working and receiving super and you get injured, you get both ACC and super entitlements for a year, and then in the second year you have to choose which of those entitlements to take, and most people choose to take ACC and therefore forego those super payments. And in the third year they go back to super. So there's no rationale for having to make this choice between the two payments in year 2, and it's not in line with the premise that superannuation is a universal benefit and not means tested. So if a person is working past 65, they're entitled to both superannuation and their working income. So there's no logical reason why in year 2 of an injury a person aged over 65 must choose between those two payments. The current legislation also has an anomaly whereby if a person is injured prior to their 64th birthday, they're actually worse off if they were injured prior to their 65th birthday because they're not eligible to collect both payments. So this bill tidies that anomaly up, and I think there'll be many people out there who'll be quite pleased about that. There are a number of measures included in the bill, other measures addressing the gap in coverage for family units and dependents of New Zealand employees posted overseas, allowing surviving spouses to receive up to 5 years of weekly compensation regardless of their age, and abolishing the ACC Compensation Appeal Authority. One of the things I'd note at Select Committee that I've heard a lot about through my colleagues who sat on that committee were the submissions that were out of scope. And I get a lot of those through my electorate office, people who have concerns about the way that ACC operates and works, and I understand why so many people submitted to this process, and I understand why it was out of scope, but I can see where there are a lot of changes that we need to make to ACC. There were a lot of heartfelt submissions, and I hear there are a lot of tears and people who are wanting to have their say. And I know that there are more changes coming. I look forward to debating in the future a more comprehensive reform to ACC that the Minister, I think, has talked about delivering in the new year, and I hope that the reform will consider and address some of the concerns of those submitters that brought up issues that were outside the scope of the bill. But this, Mr Speaker, is a sensible and positive piece of legislation to improve our ACC scheme. I endorse it and I commend the bill to the House.
Maria Lubbe.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. It's an honour to speak on this second reading.